Alright guys, this has been a long time coming. I've been wanting to do this trick tip forever. I just haven't gotten around to it until now, but I'm gonna try to teach you guys how to nollie flip. If you know me personally, or you've watched me for a while, you know this is my favorite flat ground trick by far. Before I get into it, I'm just gonna try to get one first try. And full disclaimer, I did film all those nollie flips that you just saw before this, so I am warmed up. That happens sometimes. I'll get a second try. It's nerve-wracking because I'm filming now. Or not. It wasn't pretty, but that was it. All right, it took a few tries. Don't discredit me for that. I am usually pretty consistent with them. Besides, that's just the reality of skateboarding sometimes. Even your most consistent tricks aren't always first try, and they're not always clean. Anyway, I'm sure all of you know what a nollie flip is if you clicked on this video, but I'll tell you anyway, just in case. It's a kickflip, nollie kickflip, off of your nose. I'm goofy, so that's my nose. But yeah, you'll be riding forward, pop off the nose, kickflip, land. The first thing I want to get into is what prerequisites you should have, like what tricks you should be able to do before trying this one. First of all, definitely be comfortable with your nollies, just straight up nollies. Have them consistent and have control over them. Secondly, I'd probably say nollie shove-its, like nollie pop shove, backside and front side. I don't know if those are completely necessary, but it would be good to have, because if you can do those, then you have some control with your nollie, or like just riding in nollie stance, you know? Third, you should definitely know how to kickflip in your regular stance, regular or goofy. Just a straight up kickflip, you need to know how to kickflip before you try to nollie flip. And honestly, maybe even fakie flip could help a lot, because I'm gonna get into it, but there's a difference riding fakie versus regular. And it's the same with regular versus nollie. There's like a shift in weight, but I'll get into that in a minute. And the last one, and this is just my opinion, not everybody's gonna agree with it, and it's not completely necessary, but I think it would help a lot. I would suggest learning switch before nollie. I learned switch first way before I could ever nollie flip. And the reason I say that is because when you're doing switch flip, it's a lot easier to stay over the board or keep the board under your feet. Nollie is a bit more tricky that way. And on top of it, if you can switch flip, then you already know the flicking motion. Your muscle memory is already trained in that, so it'll help big time. I think that's about it for that. So I did film a bunch already in regular motion, slow motion, even POV, so that you guys could get a bunch of different angles, and I'll slow it down and break it all down for you, like as much as I possibly can. But I would say this is a bit more of an advanced trick. You should be comfortable riding switch and stuff. So if you're a beginner, I wouldn't really suggest going at this trick, but you do you. To break it down from scratch, it's basically like relearning to kickflip. If you've never done a switch flip especially, you're basically relearning to kickflip. It is a kickflip in a different stance. So if you're not comfortable flipping it, that's the first thing I would work on. You're gonna have to retrain your legs again, basically, because it's gonna be the opposite foot, right? The first thing I would do is just stationary, whatever, just work on the flick. So just like a kickflip, you wanna kind of angle your foot a little bit and flick off like the side of the nose and kind of behind you. Just do this a bunch until you're comfortable flipping it all the time. I'll be replaying a bunch of the slow-mos and the POV so you could see my personal foot positioning. It's not gonna work for all of you. Everybody does things different, but you could always give it a try. So this is how I set up for nollie flips. I usually have a pretty wide stance for all my tricks, including ollies. So you could see my back foot, or my flicking foot, is just touching the inside bolts. It's on a bit of an angle and my heel's hanging off the back. And my front foot, or popping foot, is about an inch in from the tip of the nose. And it's also angled a little bit, but the opposite way. And here's a flipped still of my foot positioning for all you regular footed skaters out there. I flick pretty out like that. Some people will mob them, which you could get away with. You could still land it. I just don't think it looks as good. It's kind of like when people first learn kickflips. Sometimes they mob them, right? If you could get it to flip and it works, then just go with it and try to train your foot to flick out over time. But if you are starting from scratch, I would just right away just work on getting that foot this way, just like that. All right, I'm filming this after I already filmed the outro, but I'm gonna throw it in there somewhere. So I noticed when I do a lot of nollie flips, my shoelaces tend to come undone a bunch. You could see like where it's hitting the grip tape. Because of that, I just wanted to show exactly where I flick off. You can see the mark, so it goes like straight off here. I'm sure you guys saw it in the slow-mos and POV and everything, but yeah, I figured it's good to mention. So it's like my foot's really tweaking like that, hitting the shoelace. As many times as it takes, just keep trying to flip it. So once you're comfortable enough with the flick and you can trust it most of the time, then that's when you start trying it moving. So you don't have to go super fast or anything. You could start slow, but I wouldn't just do it stationary because that's just a switch flip in my opinion. And this is where I get into the biggest tip I could give you as far as nollie flips go. So basically the big difference with a switch flip and a nollie flip is that when you're riding and you're going nollie as opposed to regular or switch, your weight is already in the front because you're on the nose. So it's very similar to like doing a fakie flip. That's why I said if you have fakie flips, it could help you understand it a bit better. But basically what I try to tell anybody when learning nollie flips, because I think the hardest part is to keep it under you. You'll see, I'll show a few attempts where I still do it too, where you're going and you get in front of the board and the board goes this way, or you land on the nose. Like it still happens to me and I'm very comfortable with this trick. So the way to counteract that, basically, this is how I think of it. I'm riding nollie. What I'm doing is kind of bringing my weight back so it pushes the board forward, which will essentially bring it under you. You kind of want to like lean in the back seat a little bit so that it goes that way. I don't know if I'm in frame. You guys will see with all the examples. So it's a little hard to see what I'm talking about here, but what I mean when I say lean back is to focus your weight more over the tail, which kind of just ends up balancing everything out and fixing your posture so that you aren't leaning over the nose, because your body kind of wants to do that, especially because you're flicking in the opposite direction. In this clip here, you can actually see how I'm leaning back when I land. It's hard to see when I'm setting up, but I guess it kind of all happens in the air. There's also one more thing I want to mention that I never noticed before until looking at the slow-mos. But with my front foot, when I pop, I'm actually popping forward, not straight down. I guess that's what I mean when I say you're pushing the board forward. When I say that you want to lean in the back seat, I don't really mean like, don't like lean back like this. But what it does is, thinking of that, at least for me, it kind of centers my weight more and it feels like I can push the board in front of me rather than my body going in front of me. Because when you're leaning too much this way, like I said, the board goes that way, your body goes that way. That's like the best tip I could give, because that's the biggest problem I see with them, and it's the biggest problem I even have. Sometimes I still lean too forward, as you guys will see in the clips. The other thing that can happen, it doesn't happen to me much anymore, but sometimes, you can miss the pop. Let me get a close-up here of my feet. I don't know how exactly I put my feet. Something like that. But if you keep ghost popping or anything, sometimes I move my foot more to the tip of the board. It can also depend on how steep your nose is and stuff. You guys will see my exact foot positioning in the POV. But yeah, if you find that you're ghost popping, just try to move your foot a little bit higher so that it's more on the edge of the nose. I find that helps with the pop. That's pretty much all I can say to help you with the nollie flip. Kind of short and sweet, but it is an advanced trick, like I said, so you should already have your fundamentals like the kickflip. So you should generally understand how to flip it, and just like any other trick, it's gonna take time. You're gonna just wanna put the hours in and try over and over and over again. And sometimes it's easier or more difficult depending on the person. But yeah, it's all about just training your muscle memory. Once you understand the flick and you can do it, then just keep in mind the other stuff I told you. Mainly about your body weight and leaning in the back seat kinda, because for switch you don't really have to think about that because you're moving forward, your foot's flicking out that way, so the board and your body are kind of following it, which again is why I suggested learning switch before nollie. It's all pretty much just centering your weight in the end, so you're countering that weight that you have on the nose already by leaning a little bit back. But yeah, the best way to think about it in my opinion is that like you're leaning back and you're pushing the board forward and it should end up under you. I do still land on the nose a bunch too, but I get away with them. As long as it's under you, it's still there, right? There's also times where I guess I lean too back and my back foot misses the tail. But yeah, other than all that, I think that's all I've got for you guys. If you think I missed anything or if you have your own tips, just leave them in the comments. If you have any specific questions, leave it in the comments and I'll try to answer it the best I can. And just remember, you want to just commit. Trust your flick. And that's why I say to work on the flick more than anything, because you want to just trust it. And then you jump and put your feet on it just like any other trick. Let me know if you guys like the trick tips. I do plan on doing more. I always have, but yeah, I just never got around to it. I don't know why. But there's a few more tricks I have in mind, so I'm gonna try to put more out there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, if you like the style with like all the angles and the slow-mos and stuff. I want to try to give you guys as much as I can to learn the tricks. If you're new here, subscribe if you liked it. I just do all kinds of skate content, solo sessions, sessions with friends, lots of games of skate, hopefully more trick tips coming, and also snow skating in the winter if you're into that. But yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. One more. Woo, a little swervy. So you still land on the nose sometimes. That was the POV I wanted.